Howdy everybody. Well, my oil can affinity continues. I went back out to where I got the trailing mower, the Simplicity trailing mower, to take my neighbor and buddy Dave out so that he could look through stuff, and found more oil cans. This one I'm going to use. Looks like a little baby version of the one that our great friend Mr. Bruce uses. And then two clicker types. Let's see, this one is Eagle made in the USA. And this one says Separator Company. I don't know. The Laval? I have no idea. But anyway, got some more oil cans. I had already bought this, and I left it out there. It's another crank start, and this one works as well. And I'm not sure what engine would have had this one, but I think they're neat. I remember them just from being a kid and actually watching my father grow in frustration as he would crank and flip the switch, crank and flip the switch, to the point that one day he finally just took the mower and did like a spin around shot put thing with it. Just chucked it across the yard. Then I got this really cool fan. It's not complete, it's missing the back. But this fan is actually a vacuum operated fan, and I just thought that I just thought it was really neat looking. And it's got the mount, it's got everything to it except for the back. You would put your vacuum here, and whatever would seal on the back would... How can I do this? Hang on. There we go. Whatever would seal it would just make that spin, and it spins pretty freely. But that's what you would get in your car, so that you had generic air conditioning, I guess you could say. So I thought that was really neat. And what did I pay for that? $5, I think is what I paid for that. And this was included in a bunch of stuff, so sounded like somebody just pulled in the driveway. Maybe not. And then you guys may remember me pointing out that Lawn Boy Gold. Well, I went to the same scrap pile, and there was a complete one with gas tank and functioning pull cord. So now I've got the whole thing, and I can hang it up there, and you can run that cable through this side, or you run it through there. Thought that was just kind of neat. And I don't know if this bolt spacing, I don't think this bolt spacing will be anywhere near the same for this one. Let's see. Yeah, no. Wait, let me turn it this way. Hey. Haha. That's got 4 bolts, and this one just has 3. Sorry, I'm just looking. I'm just curious. Let's take a look. I don't think that I can use... Well, I take that back. I can put that one. I'll be right back. Don't go away. How's that for a coincidence? It just happened to bolt onto that one. Too cool. Those will make some nice hangers. I'll show you guys how that one works. It's different from the Briggs style. The Briggs style you crank and then you have a lever that you push. This one you crank in the direction that it tells you to, which is that way. Hear the clicking? That tightens it up, and then the release button is right there, so you just put the handle over and that spins it. I'll show you the inside. Ready? You can watch that spin. That's so cool. Yep, I'm digging it. I'm definitely digging it. So I gotta get the handle back where it'll hang. Too awesome. Alright, so what are we getting into today? Well, first off, I did some rearranging here so you guys can see. I have a ton more room here. I've got tractors piled over here. I've got room for another 3 tractors, possibly 4. And what I did was, the Vespa is sitting outside. It's going up for sale. But and you guys don't be sad, but Trader is not going to get put back together by me. That's that. Sorry. I know that Trader's been around for a long time, but it is time to pass Trader along to someone else who can enjoy and have fun with him. He's sitting right here. He's looking a little forlorn. Of course, I kept the big tires. I did put the aluminum mags back on. I'll let those go with it. And I swapped the steering wheel out because the steering wheel that was on it was for an early B series tractor, a B110. And I've got all the parts in the hood and all that stuff for the B110 that may or may not eventually get built. But anyway, here we go. Trader's going to be going bye-bye. Don't be sad. Someone else is going to have a whole lot of fun with it. And the motorcycle lift, literally 30 minutes after I posted it for sale, it sold. So it was gone. It was the only one in the area, and it sold really, really quick. A guy drove about 45 minutes to come pick it up. Super nice guy. The little 500-pound cart that the 4 big tires are sitting on, it's also going away, ish. If I don't get a hit on it here before too awful long, I may just go ahead and hang on to it, because it would be handy to have, in addition to the monster lift table. My 26-12 ags are sitting there, 23-10.5 12 ags, and then my big Carlisles. I forget what they are. They're something like 24 by 13 by 12s, somewhere in that area. But there's a good possibility that I may go ahead and just mount those. They would have originally been on a Sunstar. That's what they came off of. In fact, the pair that is on engine 44, my Squire 9, those are actually mounted to the rims and came off of a Sunstar. You just flipped them around. So I may put those back on here just to see how I do traction wise, and if I like them, I'll leave them on there. If not, then we'll just go back to the ags. I like having the ags. I already pulled that tire off and sealed it. Yeah, it's still got air in it. And this tire I pulled off yesterday and resealed, and it is still staying up. That one. So we're good there. I have one more to do. Excuse me, 2 more to do. That one, and then one of the tri-bar tires on the B12 that's out in the garage. What are we working on today? I started to say, and I will continue is not the Vespa. I had fun tooling around on it. I started it up and drove it around. The 44-inch swisher is going in. I've already pulled the Tecumseh out and done a few other things, and I'll show you guys that when I get this on the lift. But you know, that's today's task. And then if I get through that quick enough, just for curiosity's sake, we're going to yank the Simplicity tow behind in trailing mower, pull it in, and see what kind of shape the engine's in. And just so you guys know, I don't know if we'll be able to see it or not. I'll try to get a view of it. I'm going to convert it to electric start as well. And there is, okay, that 16 horse engine. We got to go around to the other side. We can do that. If you'll note, that 16 horse has a low mount, I repeat, a low mount starter generator bracket, and that is key. I'm trapped. That is key because this is going to be another long video. It's okay. Mr. Mule likes them. In order to convert the trailing mower to electric start, I can't put the starter generator up top and get out of the sun, or out of the shade. I can't put the starter generator in the normal place. Reason being, the gas tank's there. But I can come down here, just put longer bolts in, and mount that starter generator down here where, excuse me, allergies, and I haven't even been out here that long. You see where I'm going with this. I can mount the starter generator low, and then the only thing I have to worry about is whether or not it's going to impede on the engagement lever. And if it is, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But I do want to see if this has got good compression and good spark, and see if we can get it to turn over. We'll disconnect it from the deck. I'm not worried about the deck because we are swapping decks out. And as far as being able to pull two trailing mowers with one tractor, I cannot, because like I said in the other video, this has been hacked. But I can repair that and make it to where it can be a dual gang, and then I could mow, let's see, 8 and 5 is I can mow a 13-foot swath. I can get done mowing in about 10 minutes. That's hysterical. So I'm gonna move everything out. I'm gonna get the cart out, get it unloaded, and use the zip loader to pick up that tow behind swisher and stick it on the table so we can get to work on it, because we've got quite a bit to do, and I'll explain all that in the next segment. That is so nice. Bring it up to the perfect working height, and the two implements work well together. The lift, and the hoist, but I set it on there the wrong way because I'm going to have to be straddling all that. All of that. So I'm going to pick it back up, turn it around, lower it back down a bit. Well, it goes down quick when it's got a load on. Alright, see you guys in a second. Alright, let me bring you up to speed. I relieved it of the Tecumseh because it was pull start only. We are using this 8-horse electric start. I already went through the carburetor because if you remember when I cold started that one, it ran, but it didn't run good. Now it runs great and it's charging the way that it's supposed to. It's doing everything it's supposed to do. So we've got the pulley on, and the pulley distance is correct for this setup in here, and it does have brakes here and here. It's kind of a neat little setup. When you engage and disengage, like right now it's disengaged, when you engage it, if you watch, that just pivots. That just pivots and pulls the brakes off of the pulleys. Then we have a power disconnect here, and all that I really need to do with that is just make sure that I wire it to the ignition so that when and if this needs to be pulled as a quick breakaway, and I'm going to reinforce that right there with a grommet if I can, but you can just have a rope up by you and yank it if something weird's going on. And then to reset it, you just plug it back in. It's kind of like a jet ski, how you have to have the little cord with the special little key. But anyway, very simple pulley direction. I can disengage it again. I'm not super happy with the engagement rod. I may see what I can do to beefing that up, stiffen that up a little bit, because obviously it's done some bending. It moves plenty freely, but anyway, the engine sits right there, and I've already gone through. I've got a good key switch here, a new key switch with the pigtail, and I've just omitted the wiring that's not needed. And you'll see I have 4 different colors here. Well, I've got one for battery, I have one for negative, I have one for ignition kill, and I have one for charging. I think I got that backwards, but anyway, that's all the 4 wires that you need. One's going to allow it to charge, one's going to allow it to start. Oh, that's right, one's a start wire, the body is the ground, black is the ignition kill, red's constant battery power, and I should have wrote it all down. Did I write it all down? I don't think I did. I don't see it. All I see is a blank piece of paper. So it's been a couple days. I'll have to chase that again. But we've got our starter relay here, and down here we've got 2 connectors. Those 2 connectors right there just go to these wires, which goes to that limit switch right there. And also when you engage it, wait a minute, I'm already disengaged. When you engage, it takes the pressure off of that switch. I don't know if you saw that. See it pull it out. So that spring and that little bit of chain there, that just prevents you from being able to start it with the blades engaged. Pretty smart. You don't want to cut your toes off when you're trying to start it. So now what I need to do is get the key switch mounted, get the starter solenoid mounted, be mounting the gas tank to this back support here, and you can see it's plenty thick enough gauge of steel. And oh, that was noisy. It's just going to mount right here, because our outlet is right there. And it's just going to mount right there. That's where you put your gas in, and then we'll mount the battery. Where the battery is going to mount, I'm not sure yet. And I've got the cable for the battery, which probably have to be cut down. But that's the plan. And then make a little throttle plate. And I don't need anything fancy. I could do a pull and lock throttle. See all my throttle cables sitting up here. I've got plenty of them that will work, and all it's going to do really is when I push it to lock it, it will automatically choke it, because the engine is equipped with single lever for choke and throttle. So that's where we're at. So before the engine ever gets set down and bolted in, we're going to get all the wiring ready. And as I go through and get each step and stage of the wiring done, I'll crack the camera back on, show you guys where we're at as far as progress goes. I bet you didn't even know that I left. And I actually left. I had to go get wheels. That wheel doesn't work anymore. So we've got these here, right? One on either side. So I had to go to the grocery store, or the hardware store, the other hardware store besides me. And I always come home with more stuff. So check these out. All right. Look at the end of them there. That'll be your guys's what's it. Look those up, or see if you already know what those are. Kind of morbid. And then I got a makeshift beam trolley, just because I like the old stuff. More old stuff. And just a regular piece of chain, but that link right there was hand forged, and that hook was hand forged. If you look up here, I've got bits of chain and hooks, and got that big one up there. I dig that kind of stuff. This is an old barn. Put the old hang hold stuff in the barn. And this is a snap setter, button setter. So I think I showed before, but I've got a decent assortment here of snaps and buttons in the back of this drawer. Yeah, there's one right there. I think I showed when I showed you guys the vice grips that have the jaws on them for doing snaps. So saw that at the hardware store, so I grabbed that just because it's old cast iron, it's cool, and it can actually be useful. So that'll sit over there. And we're just about getting down to it. And then I found this was a local Pontiac dealer, Pontiac GMC dealer. Pontiac's defunct now, so figured I'll grab that. And my buddy Dave grabbed this, Van Buren, Indiana, center of the world, and a little worse for wear, but I'll straighten it out and hang it up on the wall. And we're almost done. We're almost down to the good stuff. And then also was this really nice, here comes Dave now, this really nice stainless 16-inch rule. So I can just stay right there, because I'm always needing something a little longer than my 6-inch that are hanging up here. And then we finally get down to the bottom of the bucket. This was one of the original wheels, but I've got 6 brand new ones, brand spanking new, and I only need 4. So this thing's going to get, all 4 corners are going to have brand new wheels on them. Now it's time for me to get back to wiring, remember where I was. Alright, just looks like a bunch of spaghetti, but trust me, it makes sense. Okay? I have 4 wires coming off the key switch. So right now it's in the off position. So in the off position, we're going to come over here to our ohms. And we're going to initiate sound. Okay, that means I've got continuity between the red and green wire right here. All right, that ultimately comes out and terminates here for the ignition, which will go directly to the engine. So I turn it on. That allows this to be passive so that you have charge going to the coil. All right, right here, it's the ignition ground. All right, ignition kill. Then we have our starter solenoid. Our blue wire is our trigger for the starter solenoid. Ignore the wires with the clips on them because those are all just completing a circuit. We're only looking at what it's actually going to take to start this and get it running. The only wire not connected obviously to the engine and the charging system is the positive wire right here, which I do have connected to the battery positive, so it's acting like it should. And I have my leads, just like I say, in these two positions right here. So that just means that right here, my ignition kill, my yellow wire, and my black wire over here, my ground, are not making contact with the key switch on the on position. So with it in the off position, I have an audible telling me, okay, you've got that circuit complete. You've got that one right. You want it to be a closed circuit or an open circuit with the key off, and a closed circuit with the key on. And we come over to the starter. Again, our trigger wire is the blue, and I just have a light bulb acting as the starter. Okay, and then this would be my hot battery lead, and this wire will also share a position with that wire on the starter solenoid, on the hot side of the starter solenoid. This black wire is just grounding everything as though it's assembled. So then we hit the key over to start, and you can hear the click, and the light bulb is telling me it's sending signal for the starter to turn. Okay, so the only thing that I need to do now is just come up with a throttle assembly that I can either mount to the blower housing, which is probably what I'll end up doing, or somewhere within close proximity. And the safety works. I pull that out, it goes to a open circuit and kills the ignition via that safety switch right there. Like if I pull it over here to engage, or if this gets yanked out, it will kill the ignition. Okay, so that's just me mapping everything out so I know where everything goes. And I already know that all of these alligator clamp wires are not at all part of the electrical system whatsoever as a finished product. So you see I'm pulling them all off, and then the wiring looks a lot simpler. Then you have your ignition kill. That's one wire will go directly to the ignition kill tab on the throttle assembly. That'll kill our ignition. And we have our ignition, power, on and off, going directly into this green lead for the key switch. Okay, the yellow wire is connected to the key switch. It comes in, it junctions here, and then attaches there. When this breakaway is pulled, it breaks that contact and shuts the engine down. The black wire is just ground. That's it, just going direct to ground. So this wire right here will go to ground, not the red one. We can get rid of this one too, because this one is not part of the equation either. Let me pop that off there so that you guys can see exactly what's going on, and I will again tell you what wires are what. Okay, there we go. All of the extra wires are now disconnected just from me going through and testing. So we have, that'll go to ground. It'll just get bolted directly to the frame of the mower. Then we have our ignition through the key switch. It's coming from the key switch here and going into the green, and it goes through this junction block and back over to the red and completes the ground right here. Okay, so if I still turn this on, even with everything disconnected, I'm still okay. So that's all those two wires are doing, are killing the ignition, which kills it out to here, and that's what gets attached to the engine. It's not confusing, not as confusing as it looks right now. And then again over here, this is the trigger wire from the key switch right there, the blue wire, going to the start. All right, and I could just put continuity tester over to that and it'll show a complete circuit as well. And then we just have our battery wire, and like I said, the battery wire is not going to go to the battery, it's going to go to this terminal on our starter solenoid. So everything is ready as far as wiring goes. Now it's just about time to go ahead and tidy up the wiring, get everything where I need it to be, make sure it's going to be away from the pulley and properly zip tied, and of course get my connectors on and all that stuff, so that when I set the engine in place, I am golden and ready to rock and roll. It'll just literally be plug and play. This will have an eyelet on it. This one will have a spade on it. This one will have a spade on it. And then the battery wire will have an eyelet large enough for that post. That's it. That's all the wiring. And then you'll have a battery cable going from here to the positive side of the battery, which is that long cable there. And we will have another battery cable going from here directly to the post on the starter. It'll all be clear as mud as soon as I get the engine set in here and get it wired, and be able to show you a much cleaner appearance than what we've got right now. So, and we got all new shoes on all four corners, so it's going to be really happy. Both the tires are holding air and all that fun happy stuff. So now the work for me gets cut out, and I get to do a bunch of wire trimming and terminal setting and engine mounting and just going through all of those, and I'll leave the belt covers off so that we can take a look at everything once we get there. So hang on, it's gonna be another long one. We'll talk about this in just a second. I just had 2 drops of pee scared out of me. Scott Krepp stopped by, dropped off an old chop saw, cinder block saw, and concrete saw, and an old steel 015. I've got 3 or 4 more up in the loft for me to tinker with this winter. But he came in bearing gifts, and the gift that he came bearing was that right there. It's a Bluetooth speaker that uses my batteries. Check it out.
Easily one of the biggest sales in Olight history, and we have you to thank for that. This has been absolutely incredible.
And of course I'm playing an Olight video because I haven't seen it yet. But yeah, how cool is that? And I just grabbed my battery out of my, and it's brand new and paired right up with my phone. That's downright mighty nice of him. Mighty nice of him. I'm going to enjoy that. I had to make sure I played something that wasn't music so I wouldn't get dinged. Alright, now we'll come back over here. And he just pulled out. So, alright, we've got everything wired up except for connecting things to the battery, and obviously the engine is not in. So we do have our ignition kill sitting here. We have our standard ground, and we'll ground that to the engine. We have our key switch in with the pigtail attached. Everything is plenty well far out of the way of the belt. And we've got our solenoid mounted with our trigger wire. It's mounted, you can't see it, but trigger wire is mounted right here where my finger's wiggling. And we've got that terminal covered. We've got cross stitch zip tied here, cross stitch zip tied here, and I'm going to go through this hole and through that hole to zip tie and hold that on. It should work just fine. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't. And it keeps everything just out of harm's way. And then I've got plenty of lead here, so I'm going to trim that down and I'll put a new end on it. And I did grab, yeah, I grabbed new ends over here, so be able to put new terminals on that. And then as far as the battery side, excuse me, the starter side, hiding under here, and how it managed to hide so perfectly, I have no idea. But right here, it's there. I promise it's there. There we go. There is the starter wire, and that's literally just going to come up out of the cover and mount right about here, right onto the starter. So we're just about ready to drop the engine in, very close to ready to drop the engine in, and I'm 20 minutes past when I usually quit. But since we're in the long haul, I'm going to go ahead here and just take just a few more minutes out, get this wire trimmed down, get my ground cable made and mounted and bolted. We'll get the engine set down in there, and I'll just throw a bolt in it. I just want to make sure that everything's going to be copacetic, that we're going to crank with the key. And so long as we do that, then the only thing we have left is to mount the battery rigid and mount the gas tank, run the fuel line, put the covers back on, lift it back up in the air with the whooping crane, and I need to get a decal that says whooping crane, and pop the blades off, check the blades. If I remember right, it's got new blades on it, so I don't think I'll have to do anything to those. And as I said, I already did replace brand spanking new wheels from the hardware store down the road, which is aka a buddy of mine's house, and whopping cost of I brought all that other stuff home too from him. I tossed him $10. He wasn't even going to take that. He goes, you know, we always do stuff in trade. And I said, I know, just go ahead and take it and make me feel better. So there we go. Home stretch. This thing will be done. If not this evening, it will be done in the morning. So y'all just sit tight, and I'll see you in a second. And I did forget one thing. I will have to run one more wire from the stator. So our stator wires are right there. I'll have to run one more wire. And I'll probably just go ahead and run it to here, since this is the battery side. And that will save me from having to piggyback a wire all the way to the battery itself, which I don't have to do. I can just add a wire right there. And I do have rubber covers under both, or over both of the, can we see it? Yeah, right there. Over both sides. And this is going to be kept out of the weather, so we don't have to worry about rain getting in there and wreaking havoc on things. But yeah, boy, moving right along. See you in a second. All right, we're temporary. This obviously is not going to go where the throttle cable is going to go. Got my ignition kill right here. All right, my key switch, everything's wired to that. Got my solenoid switch, everything's wired to that. Battery cables, they're still a work in progress. All we're doing right now is just making sure that we have everything correct. So let me we'll just grab this generic spark tester right here, and we'll let that one tell the story on whether or not Zippo got things right. Let me move this. Hang on. I need both hands. It's 6 p.m. I'm usually done here, out here at 5 or a little before, but I was a man on a mission. I wanted to get this thing done. So key on, no smoke, no smolder, and we are attached here. I'll be putting a hole, excuse me, that's why this cover, oh, excuse me, that's why this cover is not on, because I'll be putting a hole and a grommet in to run this battery wire through. So if I did everything right, if I've got everything wired the way that it should be wired, we're disengaged. And when I engage, it's really got that belt good and tight. And anyway, let's hit the key first, just see if it cranks. Okay, ready? And this is honestly untested. I don't know if it's going to crank or not. All right, we crank. Now let's see if we've got spark. And we've got spark. So we have a wiener. All right, that means all I have to do tomorrow is just button it up. And I'll probably just go ahead and make a nice short battery cable for the negative side and mount it underneath the acorn, just like I did here. There's plenty of threads. And then I will shorten the positive battery cable. Then the only thing we have left to wire is the charging cable, which is just going to go from here to the solenoid through the same hole that this starter cable is going through. And pretty sure I've got rubber grommets. Let's just take a look. Oh, I forget which drawer. No, I didn't. Haha. Yep, plenty of grommets. So we'll be able to pop a grommet in there. Pop a grommet. Not bad for one day's work. I had the wiring figured out prior and did not label my wires, and then wound up labeling my wires so that I knew what was going on. And we're just about to the point of mounting the gas tank, getting the battery mounted down, and taking it for a little test tickle. See how it does. We'll pull it through the yard a little bit, but not bad for a day's work. Yeah. Now, Miss Melinda will be happy. She will have a electric start pasture mower that will not exceed 5 miles an hour. Made in Missouri, in USA. It's a nice thing about Snapper. Yes, sirree. Okay. I'll see you guys when it's on the ground and behind the tractor with the hitch on. And I still do not know what this cover is for or where this cover was. No clue. Don't know. I guess we'll figure that one out another time. But it'll be just a second for you guys. But for me, I'll see you in the morning. Call it a win so far. We are back on it. And we're on the downward slide. So what's going on right now? We're going to get the drill out and do some hole punching. I'll mount this gas tank. Hang on. That's a little better. I just took the zoom off. We're going to mount the gas tank right here. Yeah, that's the best place for it. I can mount it there, or I can come over and mount it on the side. If I mount it on the side, that makes my fuel line longer to go to here. Now I can turn this around so it faces this way, but then it's going to be right atop the muffler, and I don't want to do that. So I think we're just going to stick with the original plan here. We're going to go right here. We'll bring that fuel line around. And I may make some sort of a fuel line holder. I'll show you what I can do. So we've got these two clips. Those would be fuel line clamps. I can run the fuel line off the tank to there and then over to the carburetor and have it up high enough so that it's away from the muffler. And if that muffler is a problem, we can go with the standard can or standard box type muffler that I believe I have a couple of up here. Yeah, there's two of them. Let me just grab one and take a look and we'll see. See, just one of those. And that would bolt on just like that. I think that's the route we'll go. And then it uses one head bolt, holds onto it with one head bolt. Yeah, I think I'd rather do that. It's already got a heat shield on it, so I can run the fuel line over it and not worry as much. Plus it'll tuck it in a good bit more. Let's see, tuck it in a good 1.5 inches or so. Then I can change the deflection here so that it blows directly backward. So yeah, I think that's the route we'll go. Let's do that first, then we'll mount the gas tank. You guys with me on that? Alright, hang on, I'll get you set up. Alright, noise alert. Air chisel coming into play here. Loosen this lock ring. Come on. You were just working. Oh, I see. Now? There we go. That's the way a muffler should be installed, right there. Use that lock ring and don't tighten that muffler all the way down. I wish all the mufflers were that easy to get off. That was nice. And I need to back that bolt out. That's a 1/2 inch. And we've already got our gasket. I always keep my gaskets in place. And we've got our bolts. I've got to get those loose. 7/16. I think it's 7/16. Is it 7/16 on both sides? Yep. Is it? Yeah, it is. Okay. Come here. I need you, I need you. You see what I'm doing? I'm just taking the nuts off the back. I use the nuts to retain the gaskets. There we go. Alright, drop, drop. And there is a metal tab here that you bend the tabs over onto the bolt after you've got it secured. That's why I keep stuff. And our holes are already tapped, which is nice. Oh, good, okay. I do not need the head bolt. I need the, I just need to put a 3/8 in there. Let me put this back in. Alright, we're going to check the chart. Make sure that we're right. I think it's 196 inch-pounds on an aluminum mill head, but it might be different. So we have aluminum. What series is this? 1900. See a 19. Looking. Cylinder bore standard. Where's the? I missed it. Whoops. Get up there. Alright, head bolt. Cylinder head torque specs right there. And 1900. 165 inch-pounds. So we've got it cinched down just a little bit. We'll get our clickety-clack here. And that was what again? 165. I'm gonna clamp you guys down again. Give me just a second. Alright, let me clamp you down again. Get the gas tank out of your way so you can see a little better. I'm just going to leave you guys there. 165. 180, 160. There's 160, 2, 4, 5, 165. And deep well 1/2 inch. Where did they put that? It should be right here. There it is. Okay. Click. That's done. Easy peasy. Gotta make sure those things are torqued right. If they're not, it's gonna leak on you. Don't blow a head gasket. You don't want to blow a gasket, right? At least I don't. Okay, now we can finish running these in. And they are 3/8. Whoops. Oh, we got to put that bolt. Let's get that bolt. Okay. Oh, too big. Too big. Too big a bolt. Need a smaller one. Why didn't you guys catch that? Huh? I'm talking to you. And I'm using a catch nut. You can see the ridges on the edge there. That will keep that nice and secure. And that looks like it's 3/8. We're just pulling all the sockets out. Let's just use them all. Use them if you got them. That'd be funny if I wasn't recording. Oops, sorry. You guys okay? I hope I didn't give you a black eye. There we go. Now I can run these guys down. And now we'll tap these suckers down. Just keeps them from backing out. Come on. That's that. What's next? You guys know what's next? I know what's next. You want me to tell you? I already told you once. I told you once, I ain't telling you again. Alright. We're gonna turn that so that it is facing straight back. Get out of the way, old muffler. Thank you. That's got a whole bunch of holes in it so you can clock it any way you want to clock it. So we're going to clock it right at 90 degrees. Or, yeah, 90 degrees to level. put that in loosely. And kind of a nice thing about these types of screws, you don't have to finger start them. As long as you're careful on the trigger and you get it spinning before you put it in the hole, it'll find the right threads all by itself, just like it is doing. And that's going to allow our fuel line to be a lot happier. I did already grab it. I don't know if it's going to be long enough, but essentially the fuel line is going to go in there, and that's, oh, more sockets, 5/16. The fuel line's going to, be pinched in there, and then it'll come around to there. So, and it'll probably go a different route than that. It'll probably come from the tank through this way and over to here. We can finagle that any way we need to finagle it. But we've got to get the tank mounted, right? There's a lot of oil coming out of that muffler. That's because I had it set up at a weird angle. That's all right. I'm going to get my vise rag that keeps my vices from rusting, and just put more oil on it. Okay, off camera I'm going to blow a couple of holes in here and get the gas tank mounted, like I said, and I'll get the gas plumbing figured out. Once I get that far, I'll crack the camera back on and show you guys where we're at as far as this side. That'll complete this side. Then we have to come over on this side and mount the battery. And how are we going to mount the battery? Well, I just happen to have a battery mounting tray. So we're going to mount that right there with a couple of bolts. Two bolts. And that will hold our battery secure. Everything's coming together. I still have to change the length of the cable, and I've got a pack of these ends. I just need to find them. So off camera I'll do that. So we'll see you guys in a minute. Another really long Zippo video for you guys. And by the way, this engine was made in 1990. Actually, January 1st of 1990. You see that? 90/01/01. Very first day. I didn't even give those guys a day off. Alright, see you in a minute. Alright, before we mount the gas tank, we're going to go ahead and mount the battery tray. Got the battery kind of moved out of the way. Let's see. Here. That's better. And I've already written down here my measurements. My spacing between center on center of the bolts is 4 15/16, and then 2 3/4 inch from bolt center to the edge. So I'm going to come out just a hair more than 2 3/4 inches. Using my newly acquired steel 16-inch ruler and my Dixon reach. I think I've shown these before. Boy, you want to talk about handy. Super handy. Alright, so we're going to come out 2 3/4, but we're actually going to go ahead and allow that extra bit right there to be the extra that I'm needing. So I'm just going to mark 2 3/4. Mark it in a couple spots. It's going to go from here. Let me move that under there 2 3/4. Just putting a few 2 3/4 inch marks. 2 3/4. And I'll strike a line. And that's where I want my holes to be. Come on, come on, come on. Well, I guess sometimes a 16-inch ruler is a little too long. And I'm mounting it so that the battery remove plate is facing the back. Easier access, a little bit easier access. Now I have to do my 4 15/16 spacing. So I'm going to set this approximately where I want it, which will be right about there. And I'm just going to mark the end of the battery hold down. And I'll get one more measurement from the end to here so that I can transfer that, and that is right at 2 inches. So I want to come in 2 inches from the line that you cannot see. Let me tilt you down just a little. There. From that line, that's where my first hole is going to go, is 2 inches from there. And this is I'm going ahead and showing you guys all this because this is the kind of stuff that I usually just don't put on the camera. And not that it's all that interesting, but it's all part of the process. It's all time consuming. Everything takes time. And now we have to go 4 15/16 from this mark to that mark. So get that lined up and go forward. Whoops. Turn it around. Right there. 4 15/16. Right there. That's where both my holes need to be. So now I will take my stare at center punch. You know, that's another must if you're drilling a lot of holes. Have a decent center punch, even if it's just one of the Harbor Freight ones. The Harbor Freight ones wear out, but you can resurface the little. Hang on, loud noise. Loud noise again. There's a little anvil in the end of the brass Harbor Freight ones, and it'll start getting nicks on it, and then it won't catch. This will just collapse and it won't do your center punch. But you can reface that a few times, just make it perfectly flat, and you can keep using them. All right, we're going in with a pilot hole first. Ooh, hang on. Got to get the cute little oil can here. And that's Cool Tool oil. After the 2 pilot holes are done, then we'll go in with the big boy and drill our final size hole. And I've got another drill here for doing that. This is the first time I'm using it. This is my pawn shop find. And a brand new on the clearance table. This rigid. It's a R7122. If you're bored, look up how much these things retail for. Yeah. Money. What'd I pay for it? 30 bucks. No, I take it back. What'd I pay? Because I bought a pair of sunglasses at the same time. It was 50. I paid 50 for it. Okay. More oil, please. And thank you. Thank you. More oil over here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And here we go. How's that for quick? That's why you pay the big bucks for good tools, right? No idea why nobody bought it. They must have just put it out on the sale floor when I got there, or, you know, soon after. And I'm off just a little bit. Let's see which way I'm off. Oh, the bolts are splayed out just a little. That's easy enough to fix. Next size, larger drill bit. That went really close on the drill bit size. Let's just swap that out and open those holes up just a hair more. Then it should just drop right in there. Come on, cooperate. Thank you. And I didn't look to see who made the chuck on this. Give me a second, I'll look. Is there a maker's name? There's not. Okay. Anyway, it's got a drill chuck. There we go. I must not have it tight enough. Tighten it down some more. Oh, yeah, I didn't have it hardly tight at all. Here, now it won't slip. Yeehaw! I might even be able to get away with just oversizing one. You want to see? Let's see. Don't blow metal chips. You can end up with them in your eye. Use a broom. Nope. Still got to drill the other one. That's all right. We'll do it. Done. And it doesn't suck that the rigid is orange, all my Black & Deckers are orange, so on and so forth. Sorry, I gave you guys another black eye on the other side. They need to match. There we go. Good, good. Now I've got my washers and nuts and lock washers here. We'll get those put on and the battery tray will be done. And we can get back over to the other side and get the gas tank done. That's pretty much going to be the same process. I'm just going to, transfer the measurements. I'll miss it by a little bit like I did with this. No big deal. And then I'll just drill the hole bigger so that it'll fit. We'll get the gas tank mounted, get the fuel line on. And once the battery is on and the fuel line's on and the gas tank's mounted, we're ready to get it off the stand and see how she works. So we're getting really close. Got a 65 Ford trick. magnet in a bottle. Works like a charm. We're ready for the gas tank. I drilled a third hole offset from the others. Keep this more steady and rigid. 2 bolts, in my opinion, just were not enough. So let's see, where'd that go? There it is. All right. Nuts, washers, and bolts, and all that fun stuff. That's going to be kind of tight. Yep, should still work. Not sure what size. I think these are 1/2 inch. I can't get my little fingers down there. There we go. There's one. Get the second one in. And I thought ahead this time. I'm using self-tappers just in case my holes were a little bit off, so that I could just zip them on in. Okay, we got too much stuff in the way. That's what I need, it's the 1/2 inch. All right, go in there. There we go. Huh. Cool. Show you guys inside, not coming in contact with anything. Got 1, 2, 3 with plenty of room. Nothing's going to hit anything at all. So I could have undersized these holes and just ran those self-tapping bolts through, but better safe than sorry, right? Right. And this one, you can see I'm right on the spindle plate. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get the nut on there or not. I may have to back it back out in order to get the nut on there. Yeah, I think that's what I'll have to do. So we've got the gas tank bolted. We've got the battery tray bolted. Now it's left to run some fuel line, tidy up the battery cables once we get the battery in its final home, final resting place. And we do have the ends for the cables, so we're good in that regard. Next time you see it, it'll be on the ground. Let me see if you guys spot the problem. Can you spot the problem? My fuel outlet is considerably lower than the carburetor. So these 3 holes were just practice runs. I've got to raise this thing up and get it up as high as I can. But happy mistakes, because you always learn in the end, right? I thought, well, I'll just grab a fuel pump, plumb a fuel pump into the oil dipstick tube, since we learned that trick on that one engine, and on the 0 turn, that Hustler. But it's an awful lot of fuel line running all over everywhere. I can still do that, but I mean, it's going to leave it's going to leave fuel line coming out from here going over to that side of the engine. Then it's going to have another fuel line coming all the way around the engine, all the way back to the carburetor. So do I save fuel line and save it looking kind of goofy just by raising the gas tank? I think so. We'll check and see how much we have to raise it, and if I can't raise it enough with this bracket to satisfy the height of the fuel inlet here, it'll at least be a whole lot closer than what it is now. Because let's see how much See how much I've got that I can go. Because right now it's all the way at the bottom. And that comes up almost 4 inches. And I kind of need a level. So I can measure off of a level. Just measure off this torpedo level here. I'm gonna have to clamp you guys. Hopefully someplace where you can see what I'm doing. All I'm gonna do right now, I'm just gonna measure the outlet on the gas tank and then set the level and then measure my height difference. Look, measure my height difference between here and the fuel inlet. If it's less than 4 inches, then we should be in good shape, because I can raise this thing up. Well, let's see, what can I raise it up exactly? I can raise it up 3 inches safely. So fingers crossed, right? Let's try it. Let's see what we get. We got to get that spirit level balanced just right. Right there. And then I'm just more or less going to eyeball it. Come here, inches. Thank you. Again, get that spirit level just right. Let me make sure I'm on the fuel inlet. Yep, I am. Okay. Yeah. 3 inches is right here. So it's well above that. Cool. All right. New holes. Yeah, those 3 holes are just a practice run. All right, how about some off-camera progress? Right now I'm fixing to cut a piece of stainless steel that's going to mount to the top of the blower housing, and possibly have a tab that comes down and mounts here. Then there'll be a hole in it for the throttle cable. Right now the throttle is just being held by the throttle cable holder, and this is a twist lock. So you twist it and lock it and it'll stay put. You loosen it and it allows you to pull it up. We don't have far to go, obviously, so it's going to be a real short throttle cable. Real simple, just real simple. Pull it up as far as it'll go with one hand, turn the key with the other, start it, and you can idle it down off, or take it down off choke, and after you pull it down off choke, tighten it back down, and you're good to mow and good to go. Then over here I've got my grommet in for the battery cable, and the battery cables have been cut to the proper lengths and soldered in place. And then right here I've got, and I forgot to heat shrink it, but I've got heat shrink tube on that one. This one I didn't bother, just ground, but they're soldered in. They are not coming loose. And the battery's where it needs to be. I do need to get some kind of a spacer just to take up some room here. I've got a couple pieces of aspen here. I may just cut the aspen and use those as spacers, just to make sure that the battery's held in place good and tight. Good and tight. I whacked my wrench again, electrified it, but it still works. I did that not too long ago. Well, I just did it again, and it touched. Where'd it touch? Right there, where the blue's missing. That's alright. Just shows I use my tools, and I don't have really pretty toolboxes with tools all in foam liners that I've paid way too much money for, and they all match in color and all that. Yeah. No. I use my tools. I don't care how pretty my toolbox is. I mean, I care that it's organized, but not pretty. Why did I go off on that rant? Anyway, let's get back to this. I'm going to make a plate here for the throttle cable, so it'll hold the throttle cable nice and rigid. Very simple. Very simple. That's the name of the game. And it balances it out. Me being OCD, that works for me. Throttle on one side, oil on the other. And like I said, I've got the grommet through there. I've also got a grommet here and a little notch cut. And that is for the starter wire to come through and be protected. So it's a split grommet. Just show you. Split. So that'll get tucked in there, and then the split will face inward like that. And yes, I softened those edges up so it wouldn't be real sharp. But it's got to be that deep because it's got to overcome that ½ inch of angle iron there. So, and then also what's going to come through here is what's going to go down through it actually is the wire for the battery, and then the other one just goes to ground. So and I didn't have, I looked all over and I was pretty sure that I had pigtail for it, but I didn't. So I looked at my regulator rectifier stash and picked the oldest one and nipped the wires off of it so that I've got my wires that I need, so that I can just, and it's just getting run just right there, right to there. So plenty of length. We're good to go. That's going to go on the other side of the, just going to go down just like that. So easy peasy there. So that's been done. Let's see, what else? This cover is on permanently now. It's a fix. The gas tank is mounted. It is high enough. I put just a little bit of fuel in. It went in, and I cracked open the fuel and it filled the fuel bowl. No issues there. Plenty far enough away from the muffler. I shouldn't have an issue. If it ends up having a vapor lock issue or anything like that, I do have aluminum tube that I can slide the fuel line through to help protect it and help dissipate that heat. We got the gas tank mount moved up, and I drilled the holes smaller this time and went ahead and took advantage of those self-tapping screws and still, or bolts, and still put, I mean, you can see right here the thread, there's threads cut into the lower ones. Still put a nut and a washer on this one and this one. This one I couldn't because that angle iron is just like over here. That angle iron got in the way, so this one is only threaded through the, what's roughly 10 gauge steel, 1/8 inch steel, but it's rigid mount. It's good. It's not going anywhere. Let's see. Is there anything else? I told you I've got the battery cables taken care of. Got the grommets in, so we won't abrade the cables. Got the cable lengthened. Got this notched out to put the starter cable through, and the battery wire will also go through. And I may just go ahead and come down and put the ground that I need, just loosen this up a little bit and put it on the body of the starter solenoid. But we're getting there, closer and closer. No, it's not on the ground yet, and I said that's where it would be, but I can start this sitting up here and not have to worry about the blades spinning or anything like that. So I'm just going to leave it up here until I get everything done. Then I can put it on the ground, start it up, take it out, and put it through its paces. We'll see when that happens. Well, it's finally coming down. Well, up first, then down. Out here, and just set it down right there. Maybe, if I have enough cylinder movement. I bet I don't have enough cylinder movement to get it all the way on the ground. That's just my guess. It's going to stop just shy. Watch. It's all the way down. Oh, it's touching the ground. Hey. Alright. Let me get it unhooked I will get the drag arm mounted to it, and we'll drag it around a little bit, and get the gist of what this thing's supposed to do. Okay, it works. I've done some mowing already. Go ahead and set Ugly Alice down. And I've got it to where it's trailing just directly behind the tractor. And yeah, that's a stay rod. I've got to make a stay rod for it. You guys might not have seen the throttle. I don't remember if I showed that. It's a piece of stainless steel. 3 tapping self-tappers, and they're holding that on, bent up, and then that's all the longer my throttle cable is, just itty bitty, just like that, and works great. It's all the way down. Let's turn the fuel on. We'll go ahead and start her up. Not a cold start. I've just turned it off so that I could go grab the camera. Maybe. It's going to get loud, but I'm going to go ahead and rev it up, and then I'll engage the blades and disengage the blades, rev it back down, shut it off. And it is 5:20 p.m. but everything's working. I had interruption after interruption after interruption today. One of them was a nice interruption though, was Mama Sue brought me lunch, which was definitely welcomed. It's doing what it should do. It's out there, it's making the grass shorter. That's what it's supposed to do, right? Alright gang, friendly neighborhood Zippo. Thus ends the Swisher 44-inch engine swap from a pull start Tecumseh to an 8-horse Briggs L head. Added a battery, added a gas tank, did all the wiring, added solenoid, added this, added that, added the other thing, but got her all set and ready, so it'll get delivered tomorrow. Then we can get on to bigger and better things, like a big loader that I need to work on some more and get some more things figured out on. But there you have it. It's not pretty, it just needs to be functional. It's your friendly neighborhood Zippo. I promise you guys I will see you when I see you. Later. I'm out of here.